Are you happy with your hat now? Are you happy with a hat?
I'll tell you, I was washing my hands last night in the kitchen and it was dark outside and I could see, it was like a mirror. I could see my reflection. I looked at Dorothy. I said, this is a good looking hat. I'm really happy. I'm really, thank you for the patience. I think 13 going on 14 weeks paid off. And yeah, I think it looks great.
I mean, sometimes I was worried that this was going into a situation where it was going to be a 9-month process. Like it took you 9 months to birth a kid. You get 9 months to make a perfect hat. And I know, Reed, you tend to be on the OCD side of things. And if one stitch was out of place, you'd have a problem with it. It's fine. I understand your quirks. It's who you are. We accept you for who you are, that you're born this way, as Lady Gaga would say.
Lady Gaga, man.
And I've posted that hat online now. Go to xfl.com/merch. I did it last night since I was working within the friendly confines of my building. I had plenty of time to do that. I had plenty of time to send out more masks. Again, how do you get a free mask from us?
You can go to xflshow.com/review. And I don't know. I think we were just catching up on the reviews this week. I don't know if we had any new ones come in. If we did, I certainly appreciate it. I'm going to look right now. But yeah, just, if you're an XFL fan, if you're a Spring League fan, TSL, we're going to be talking with Josh today about that. We really appreciate you taking the time to leave us reviews on xflshow.com/review. We had two come in. We had Jenna left a review. She said, I love the XFL. I was wearing my Renegade shirt. I have my Renegades flag on the wall. Heartbroken when it ended. It's back. This podcast is excellent for news, rumors, and they are fans as well. So that helps with us all having something in common. I can continue to listen. They're not just serious about sports, but they are funny, interesting, and smart. Totally awesome show. Hope it ranks #1 all time. So thanks, Jenna, for that. That is a great review. But Jenna is just like us. If you're an XFL fan, if you're waiting for this to come back, we really appreciate it. xflshow.com/review, leaving us reviews for the podcast, and I really appreciate it.
And you mentioned Josh coming up. We also have Sheena Quick from 1340 AM Fox Sports in Charlotte, North Carolina, to talk about Panthers football, Teddy Bridgewater, PJ Walker. She's also coming up at the show. It's loaded. We've got a couple guests today, and that's good. That shows that we're actually on the right track to doing something, and we appreciate all of our reviews and all the people that listen to us every week.
Yeah, we have a huge show today. Lots of XFL stuff. We got Josh Johnson in the news. We've got the Spring League. Sheena was great. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of roll down everything today. I feel like we're hitting our stride here, going on week 14.
So with that being said, you have some news tidbits you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, the huge news of the week is we're now officially part of the XFL News Hub family, which is great, which is kind of cool. I was talking with Dorothy about it, and I listened to Mark and the XFL Week in Review back when, because I'm a fan, right? I listened to that back 2.5 years ago when kind of we were getting into the league. We went to DC for the first Dragons Defenders game. We met Mark at Walters. He was freaking out doing the podcast because I think the connection or something wasn't working. And we're fans. And so it meant a lot that Mark reached out to us, asked us to come on. We put together a little promo video that he had on his podcast this week. And so, yeah, Mark kind of does the whole news rundown on Mondays on XFL News Hub. And then we're kind of your end of the week, a little more commentary, a little more color, a little more kind of, what are some wide ranging thoughts than just like running down the news. So I'm really excited about that. And we really appreciate Mark and Josh from News Hub. I think we're going to get a lot more voices on, and we're kind of getting like the insider knowledge now. Like we're in the group chats and we're kind of getting to know what's going on. So that's good if you want some inside information on the XFL.
And I feel like where the Monday podcast is more news, straightforward, your headlines, you're basically your ESPN of the XFL. We're more of the opinion columnist section where we kind of like spitball and we discuss our opinions about what should happen. Of course, I've gone on tangents about how the Dallas Cowboys still need to call Colin Kaepernick. But other than that, we try to cover news too here. So we're really happy to be joining them and looking forward to a great partnership with them. And they're really active in the XFL news universe.
Yep.
So it's a great partnership that Reed worked out. I got to compliment you.
Thank you.
Got to give you some applause for that. Let's see if I hit the right button. I did hit the right button.
Thank you. Yeah, no, so it's good. We're thrilled to be over there. We're going to be hosted on the site. Nothing changes from our end. You can still go to xflshow.com. It's our website. xflshow.com/YouTube takes you to our YouTube page, and we're still Markcast on Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. They're also going to be hosting our videos, and we're going to be doing a little cross promotion. So nothing changes on our end except just more exposure, which is great for us.
I completely agree. Next up, YouTube and what is this?
Well, I just wanted to say, if you're listening on YouTube, you can also listen to it in audio form. And if you're listening on audio form, you can also listen to it on YouTube. And I just thought that, maybe if you're just listening like on Apple Podcasts, where we're slowly building the ranks, check us out on YouTube, give a subscribe. We're close to hitting the 100 subscriber mark, and then we're going to give away a shirt when we do that. But I just thought that was worth mentioning. If you like the audio, I don't know what people prefer. Paul does the audio, I do the video. It doesn't matter. But I just thought if you're listening to one or the other, just know that both exist. Dorothy watches the video because she likes to see all of this, but maybe you're just the audio guy. So
she has to see all of that 24 hours a day. I think she could go without seeing your 1 hour on YouTube.
Maybe she likes to watch YouTube, Paul. She knows you're friends.
Yeah, we're cool. If you, God forbid, if you ever split up, I'd pick Dorothy instead of you, Reed. Sorry.
We know this.
What else was I going to say? Pandora. We've also submitted to Pandora. They're behind on processing, but there's a good chance that in the next couple of weeks, we will also be on Pandora, which will be the last one we've kind of checked off of our the other podcast on the network, Will House, just got added to Pandora last week. So we're 2 weeks behind that. I think we are getting close to the point of being on Pandora, which is really exciting because that'll cover all of the podcast avenues that you listen to your audio, whether it be Spreaker, whether it be Spotify, whether it be Apple, Google, whatever it is.
We're everywhere.
We're going to be everywhere. So we're looking forward to that as well.
I wanted to give an update. Friend of the show, Cole Boozer. This goes back a couple weeks now. I think Cole is busy, like bulking up and getting in playing shape. But we did the whole thing that Cole did us a cameo. He called us the Markcast. Your co-host Will on Will House, loves that. And we said, hey, Cole, come on the show, and then we're going to send you a We Stand Cole Boozer shirt because obviously we stand Cole Boozer. He's the patron saint of the Markcast. And we said, hey, if we send you a shirt, you take a photo with it, we're going to post it online, and we're going to donate $250 to a charity of your choice. He chose Shriners Philadelphia, and I think he had some family connections there. He was telling me, I can't remember in the messages, but so Cole did that. We posted that. We're going to do that. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to figure out how to donate the money to, I don't know. Do they have a Venmo? Can we just Venmo at Shriners?
Good question. We'll have to look into that, but we're definitely on board with sending that donation. And we do thank Paul Boozer for being very receptive to everything we're doing here at the Markcast. He's been great.
And if you this is a long shot, but if you are wanting to help donate, you can go to xflshow.com/merch. We have a We Stand Cole Boozer shirt. In the off chance anyone wants one, we'll donate all those proceeds to charity. But if you stand Cole Boozer like we do, we'll donate that to Shriners. But I got to figure that out this week. But thank you, Cole. It took him a while to get us the photo, and it took me a while to share the photo. So we finally got that 6 weeks after the fact. But we're doing it.
We're good to go on that. So thanks again, Cole, for being so cool with the Markcast or Marketcast, whatever you want to call it. So you have a Bachelorette update. I don't know why. Why do we keep talking about the Bachelorette?
I asked Josh. He posted that he's excited to come on today. I said, "Do you want us to save the Bachelorette talk?" Because last time he came on and then we posted about that. And he goes, "I definitely did not talk about the Bachelorette on the podcast." So we could have waited for Josh. All I wanted to say is, I have my conspiracy theory that Brandon Silvers, our XFL Dragons quarterback, is on the Bachelorette under the pseudonym of Chase and Nick, which is not really.
Such a fake name.
But so, because Claire was on there. Claire is already engaged, got engaged the first 2 episodes. She's off the show now. So I didn't know. I'm like, okay, are we going to keep a lot of these guys on here because they're bringing in the new Bachelorette? And so this Chase and Nick, I wanted to blow him up online, but I'm like, well, if he's only on it for 2 weeks and then they kick him off, maybe, I don't want to kick salt in the guy's, kick sand in his face. But
can we get Chase and Nick on here? Can we get Chase and Nick on here?
Well, I think that's our goal, right? And so now that he's on there for the long term, I mean, however long he lasts.
I want Chase and Nick and Brandon Silver's on here at the same time to prove that they're not the same person to you.
I don't think that's possible because they are the same person. It would just be like he would call in on like a phone and then he would call in on like an iPad and it would be the same. But no, so I want to do more coverage of this breaking news now that Brandon Silvers is on there because I didn't want to crap on Chase and Nick too much if he was only going to be on the show for 2 weeks. But he's going to be on there for the duration until Claire kicks him off. He had the shortest red shorts on this week. Dorothy even commented, she goes, those are like shorter than I would wear. So Chase and Nick, you got fans of us on the Markcast and we're going to get you on. We're going to tweet. He doesn't have a Twitter. He has an Instagram. So I'll work on Instagram.
Wow, bro.
That's my homework this week. So we got it. And thank you for the sound effect. Yep.
Garrett Gilbert. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys needing to call Colin Kaepernick. Garrett Gilbert, out of nowhere, like an RKO out of nowhere. This is insane.
Garrett Gilbert threw more TDs than Tom Brady did this week. Who had that stat? Whose fantasy football had that stat?
Wow. Wow, bro.
So I think that I want to talk about, and I think I tweeted this too, is Garrett Gilbert the GOAT of the week? And so I think the episode title should be Garrett Gilbert equals GOAT, G.O.A.T question mark, because I need to, then we can Photoshop Garrett Gilbert on there. But he had a great week. He played for the Cowboys. He kept him in there against the Steelers till the very end. Did you watch any of this game? It was crazy.
Yeah. The Steelers, I think the Steelers are probably one of the most, what's the word? Overinflated, overrated 8-0 teams I've ever seen. They are so lucky, and the teams that they beat barely have losing records. Like this is not an 8-0 team, really. I know the record says they're 8-0, but they're not really 8-0. They're going to come into a situation where they're going to play a Tom Brady and Tampa, and if Tampa Bay plays to its potential, they're going to get smashed. They're going to get wrecked. I would go as far as saying if they played Seattle would beat Pittsburgh right now.
Well, Seattle needs to find their defense because that was a horrendous game on Sunday. That was like Dorothy.
We're also going. Jamal Adams is back. The defense is going to be better. Nope.
But no, Garrett Gilbert played great. Tom Brady played terrible this week. He had his pouty face again. I love that. I'm a fan of the pouty Tom Brady. But Garrett Gilbert was great, kept the Cowboys in there. I think they should definitely keep him in next week. What do you think about that? I mean, obviously, DiNucci wasn't doing it for him. Garrett Gilbert at least they said it was like the first TD the Cowboys had gotten in like 28 possessions of the ball or, over the course of like the last 4 weeks.
Keep going with what works. Dak's done for the year. Keep going with what works. And if you're playing the New York Giants after watching what happened to the other Redskins quarterback, the New York Giants defense has broken 2 quarterbacks' legs this year. What is happening? What are they doing in New York?
I don't know, man.
It's 2 quarterbacks. Did you see that Redskins quarterback?
No, I didn't. I missed that this week.
Oh, it's gruesome.
It's the football. It's not the Redskins anymore. It's the.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's
like Michael Mcdonald. I keep forgetting. I want to call them the Redskins. I know it's the Washington football team. It's going to take some time to get used to that. At least I call the Utah Jazz and not the New Orleans Jazz, right? At least I'm that far ahead in my progression. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. The Washington football team, they had a quarterback that I can't remember the name of the quarterback. It's escaping right now. Sorry. The reason why I'm confused is because 2 years ago, Alex Smith had the same kind of leg break for the Washington football team. Wow. So, and now Alex Smith is, the backup, I guess. I'm assuming he's the backup right now. But that's 2 legs that have been broke by the New York Giants, and it's getting. I wouldn't want to be a quarterback playing against the New York Giants right now. Just wouldn't want to do it.
So, yeah, it was good to see Garrett Gilbert, formerly the AAF, had the Apollos, was great in the AAF. He came in, and it was good. It was fun to see. It got a little spring football chatter going on, with the XFL and the AAF, even though they, they folded in like week 8 or 9. But it was cool to see. It was good to see some people getting some love for that. And a lot of the XFL writers felt like, even though Garrett was in the AAF, that like he was kind of one of our own. That was, we don't get PJ Walker full time yet, but we had a whole game of Garrett Gilbert, and that was awesome.
Speaking of New York teams, I have it here that you wanted to talk about the Jets being on Monday night.
Dude, that was a game. That was a game.
Oh my gosh. Who wanted to lose that game? Whoever lost that game is in the driver's seat for Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. And I was sitting there going, I have never seen a Patriots defensive back blow coverage the way that one defensive back blew coverage. I was like, Bill Belichick is low-key tanking the season and no one's paying attention. He wants Trevor Lawrence, and he should want Trevor Lawrence. But the thing about the Patriots is they find a way, man. They'll get a quarterback in the third round that'll end up being better than Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. So I don't know how it is they do it, but God bless them.
Yeah, I just thought that was nuts. I just couldn't believe Dorothy, when we were watching that Monday Night Football, the Jets, she goes, they haven't won a game? Like, Dorothy still is, what? Like, they're 0-8, they haven't won a game? I'm like, yeah, actually, they're really bad. They're really bad.
Yeah, Jets, where we talk about the Steelers being 8-0 and being kind of overinflated, the Jets are very much indicative of their record. They are an 0-8 team for sure. They are terrible. The New York Jets are terrible.
And it came out that Adam Gase, they said, is not returning next season, right? I think I saw that this week come across it. They said no matter what happens, he is done after the season.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was done the minute he had that press conference. I don't know if you
posted the video on here.
With the eyes all googly and stuff. Like, remember those little toys with the eyes that you'd shake and they were big googly eyes? That's what he looked like at his press conference. And all of my friends and family members that were Jets fans were like, oh, this guy's done already. He's done already. He's done at the press conference. He's done. Because New York, to be a fan of a New York team, you got to deal with, to be a coach or a player in the New York market, you have to deal with a rabid fan base. Listen, I'm a Yankees fan, and I am angry that it has been 11 years, and that is a spoiled person speaking. It has been 11 years since the Yankees went to or won a World Series, and that is unacceptable for Yankees fans. And now with Steve Cohen coming in, buying the Mets, talking about personally calling players to the Yankee faithful, we're getting a little antsy. We need the Steinbrenners to step up and do freaking something and make this team a contender again. I'm not talking about like an ALCS exit. That's not really a contender. A contender means you go to the World Series no matter what. And the Jets deserve a winner.
Their general manager was asleep in the stands. Did you see? They showed the photo, and he's like,
"It's insane how bad this team is."
I go, man,
and how checked out everyone is. Everyone's checked out. And the best part is, like, the general manager. That's not the one that's on the hot seat in New York. Gettleman for the Giants is the one on the hot seat. It's a mess up there. New York football is a mess. I'm not even a fan, and I'm pissed for my friends and family members that are New York Giants and Jets fans. I'm mad for all of you because you deserve better.
They said that, and forgive me, this is where my lack of sports knowledge comes in, but they said that the New York Jets quarterback is now like the 6th longest passing, or something. It was some crazy stat that he low-key passed. Like, it's nuts.
I mean, he'll never be the number one. I mean, that's Joe Namath, but at the same time, it's like the only team probably with the worst with quarterback luck that's this bad is the Cleveland Browns. I mean, there's a stat somewhere that I think it's like 24 different quarterbacks since 2005 have started for the Cleveland. It's an insane stat because that's the place where it's like quarterbacks basically go to die.
Yeah.
Basically go to die. So why didn't they flex this game off?
I mean, it was exciting to watch because you're like, are the Panthers really going to lose? I mean, it was almost more exciting that way, right? If the Jets were like 2-6 and came in, you wouldn't care as much. But the fact that they was like this, they could actually pull this off. So
the only reason they would pull it off is because Bill Belichick wants Trevor Lawrence. That's it. That's the only reason.
Because
the Patriots, the evil genius. It's like the meme where, there's a meme of Belichick walking out of the tunnel and it's like, so-and-so just got released on waivers, and you hear the Steve Austin last break, and you see Bill Belichick walking out of the tunnel because it's going to happen. They're going to find a way to get these players, and it's just, I don't know. That's what's going to happen. And moving on here now. We just move on to stop opinionating about New York football and the Patriots. Thumbs down video. What are you talking about? What is this?
So every week, we get, and then I swear we're going to get to XFL stuff after this. Maybe this is why we get the thumbs down video on the videos. But we get like one, we get all, like 10, 12, whatever thumbs up, and then we get one thumbs down. All the videos. Whoever it is, if a thumbs down, leave a negative comment too, so at least I know why I get the thumbs down. That's all I'm asking. You can leave a thumbs down. That's fine. But you are required to also post, show your work. Like do your homework and then show your work and say thumbs down and then say why. That's all I want. I just want to know because we get generally positive reviews, right? The 5 stars on the podcast, we get a lot of thumbs up. But if you're going to leave a thumbs down or a negative review, at least just tell us why. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, put a face behind that thumbs down.
Step up.
Show yourself, coward.
Step up.
Show yourself.
Yep. That's all I'm saying.
So before we get to Sheena Quick from 1340 AM, let's talk about the big story in the XFL right now, which is Josh Johnson added to the practice squad, the 49ers.
This is a big one. So our boy Moose, he sent over the article, and I told him we would use his article from XFL Board. Oh yes, Josh Johnson of the Wildcats. But I told Moose we would use his article as kind of our thesis statement today to go off of. So what do you think about this? I think it's big news.
It's a huge news. I mean, it's something that he's already been with the 49ers a couple times. He's 34 years old. He's not it's not going to be a situation where he becomes a starter overnight. I know that Jimmy Garoppolo is not quite what they had in mind, and when they traded for Garoppolo, and I know Garoppolo had a great season last year, the Niners were a contender, but it's not going to result in anything happening probably with Josh Johnson making the main roster and or starting for the 49ers. It's just a little bit of depth, just a little bit of insurance for the 49ers. And as someone who doesn't like the 49ers at all, I'm conflicted.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, just kind of going through here, Moose, broke down a lot of stuff. I mean, he's been around forever. It says he played on 16 teams in his career. I mean, he's coming in, and he said almost maybe he could be kind of a veteran voice, just kind of giving a little perspective that way. Because, I mean, I'm 34. I always forget 34. And, that's like ancient time for football times,
When you get above 32, you start forgetting, I turned 42 next week, and I have to carry the 2. 4, yeah, okay, 42. Yeah, I forget that all the time.
Spoiler alert: you might have a little birthday gift. It's probably going to be delayed, but I think Van the Man, #1 fan, I think has a birthday gift coming for you.
Okay,
and it may or may not be what you think it is going to be. It's probably going to be delayed, but it is coming. You'll have a belated birthday gift from Van and I.
Okay, well, I'll be looking forward to that. Did you send it, or did you give my address to? No,
it could be. No, it's got to come. It could be next week. It could be next year. I mean, this is
it's going to come to you first, then you're going to send it to me. No offense to Van. I just want my address, out there. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. No, it'll come. Yeah, Van will send it to me. I didn't give him your address. But anyway, no. I mean, Josh Johnson, this is good. I think. Like we'll get into talking with Josh Davis today about the spring league. I mean, there's just a ton of quarterbacks. It kills me when we see these teams and they lament, and I watch all these, the football talk shows and all this talking about, lamenting, DiNucci, and we got Andy Dalton and all this stuff. And here, you got these XFL guys, you got AAF guys. Look, Garrett Gilbert came in, got a TD, did great. I mean, was it like, did he blow the roof off the place? No, but I mean, I think he did as well you could do as well as you're going to do for week 8 coming in and, playing against the Steelers. I mean, I think he did great. That's why he's the GOAT. But
GOAT of this week.
He's the GOAT of this week. But no, I think this is great. Moose is excited about Josh Johnson. He's a big fan. Not as big a fan as he is of Brandon Silvers, but Moose is a big fan of Josh Johnson. I think that this can be good.
And Josh Johnson, of course, last time he played in the NFL, on an NFL roster, was 2018. Again, for the Washington football team. He had 3 starts there. So we wish Josh all the best. And speaking of former XFL quarterbacks.
Bless you.
Thank you. Wow. Speaking of former XFL quarterbacks, coming up after the break, we're going to talk to Sheena Quick from 1340 AM out of Charlotte. We're going to talk about PJ Walker, Teddy Bridgewater, and the situation in Carolina. Hi, Sheena. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us here on the XFL Markcast. I know it was like a little bit of a short notice, but we wanted to talk about the Panthers quarterback situation because we're both big fans of PJ Walker, and we saw him get into the game. What went into that? Do you know offhand what went into that decision?
Well, basically the decision as far as who's going to be the second string behind Teddy Bridgewater kind of fluctuates between PJ Walker and Will Grier. I was about to say someone that wasn't even on the team anymore, but Will Grier. And the particular week that you're speaking of was against the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday Night Football. PJ was the designated backup. On the play that Teddy got injured on, he was tripped by a Falcons player and then hit. He suffered a little bit of a neck injury, but he did still have to go out and go into the tent to be evaluated for a concussion, and that's where we saw PJ enter the game.
Go ahead, Reed.
Why do they do that back and forth switch between PJ and Will Grier? I mean, I feel like a lot of teams, you have your starter and then your designated second, where they do this, it could be him one week, it could be Will the other week. Why do they do that specifically with the Panthers?
According to Matt Rule, the head coach, I guess is like whoever they think looks best that week in practice, and particularly the opponent, like what defensive scheme they run and who they think could better, serve the Panthers' interests, depending on what type of defense they're going to face.
Is it a situation where, like, if the Panthers are going up against a team that has a quarterback that plays like PJ Walker, maybe PJ is not going to be the second string quarterback, so he can kind of be on a scout team? Is that the situation?
I would go more so as far as in opposition to the other team's quarterback. I would think it had more to do with the other team's defense and, the personnel that they have, whether it'll be something that PJ's skill set would benefit the Panthers better with. So more so than like scout team purposes, I would say it depends heavily on the other team's defense.
Were there any concerns about Teddy Bridgewater's neck throughout the course of the week after after it happened against the Falcons?
There's a little bit of concern. He wasn't held out of practice. He wasn't limited. They were just kind of being a little tentative with him. And since it fell on a week where it was Thursday Night Football, he did have a couple of extra days to get better since they did not play that Sunday.
Awesome.
What was when PJ got signed? Did you follow the XFL and any of the players before PJ got signed with the team?
I followed the XFL as far as the players that I knew had been affiliated with the Panthers previously that were playing in the league. There's a couple of them that had gone to that league and then came back and got NFL opportunities. So I did a little bit of research and digging when I saw that they were signing PJ.
And what was your kind of initial thoughts?
PJ's athleticism. I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack from Panthers fans for saying this, but I think that PJ would be the clear-cut backup if they had not traded up to draft Will Grier. I think that teams are particularly faithful to their draft picks, especially ones that they trade up to get. Because in my opinion, last season, Will Grier's rookie season, he was not the third best quarterback on the team. There were 4 quarterbacks. Of course, there was Cam Newton. You had Kyle Allen. You had Will Grier. And then, who's the fourth guy? Taylor Heineke. You had Taylor Heineke. Okay. In my opinion, Taylor Heineke was number 3, but you can't just cut, your draft pick that you just traded up to get. So that's why I think he got the nod over Taylor Heineke. And I feel like this is a similar situation where there's a little bit more, loyalty to your draft pick. So without that caveat, I would think that PJ would have been the clear-cut backup, in my opinion.
Is it a situation where Will Grier is kind of the guy in waiting there in Carolina then?
I kind of want to say yes, but not necessarily. Teddy signed to a 3-year deal. Whether he'll play out those 3 years in Carolina remains to be seen. But I wouldn't say he's the clear-cut guy in waiting. I wouldn't put that much stock into it.
How do you think Teddy's been performing this year so far?
I think he's performed solidly. I think that when he is protected, he's one of the best and most accurate passers in the league. I would definitely like to see him toss it downfield a little bit more. You have DJ Moore, who is insane on deep routes. He's very, very hard to bring down. There were a couple opportunities for him in the game against Kansas City that Teddy just did not throw him the ball. He only had 3 targets. Him and Robbie Anderson make up one of the best wide receiving duos in the league. So why he did not have more targets that game, I'm unsure of. I don't know what, the idea was going into the game or if that game plan changed at all over the course of the game. But I would have liked to see him throw the ball down the field a little bit more.
The Panthers are in a super tough division with the Saints and the Buccaneers. What's the optimism? What's the feel like for a successful season right now? They've lost 4 in a row. What's the outlook here for the Panthers going forward?
Now, the thing about it is no one expected this Panthers team to do well at all. The wins that they got, no one expected it. So they're going to exceed expectations no matter what because they're so low. I think that in a sport where I'm super competitive, so to me, there are no moral victories. But if you do have to take a silver lining out of this, they've been competitive. They're right there, at the end of the game with the opportunity to tie or win or, send it into overtime or whatnot. And they're just unable to finish out the game. And what's unfortunate for Teddy Bridgewater is that in most of those instances, the ball has been in his hands. So regardless of how the defense is playing, regardless of what has happened on special teams, people are going to look at the quarterback. It's not fair, but it kind of comes with the territory. They're going to look at him and say, Teddy Bridgewater can't finish games.
Would that be a situation where the fans might clamor for a Will Grier or maybe even a PJ Walker to come in and kind of finish games out?
I think at this point, it's not going to happen because that's just kind of how the Panthers are. But if the fans had their pick, I think they would be leaning towards PJ rather than Will Grier.
Has there been fans that have commented on that?
Oh man, if you guys aren't already, please tap into Panthers Twitter because it is insanely entertaining. I will say that it's very, very entertaining. But most of the people, no one's clamoring for Will Grier because we saw what Will Grier could do last year when he came in for Kyle Allen, and we saw that he just was not ready. Whether or not he's ready this year, we haven't seen him active in any games just yet. There was no preseason, so that's one of the drawbacks from that. But they've seen what Will Grier really has to offer, so I think they would take their chances with seeing PJ out there a little bit more.
That's interesting perspective. I'd like to see that.
It's just tough because, PJ was the MVP of the XFL, right? I mean, one of the, without a doubt, standout, players. And to see him come in, under someone like Teddy, I mean, we had Jordan Teamu, who was kind of the other main quarterback, go play, with Kansas City, he got cut. But, it makes a little more sense. Okay, you have Jordan behind, Pat Mahomes, greatest quarterback, alive right now, whatever the talk is. But then, you have PJ, but that's like, it falls Jade is that. But then you have, someone like PJ Walker. And I think a lot of people, I know I do, watch those Panthers games hoping that PJ will get a shot, right? And when Thursday came around last Thursday, my phone, my father-in-law was texting me. I had, friends texting me just because they know that we do this, being like, oh my gosh, did you do it? It just seemed like it was a big deal. So it's hard for XFL guys because I think they wish okay, maybe PJ would get a shot versus like Jordan Teamu is never going to get a shot with the Chiefs, or we think maybe there would be a shot that he would get one with the Panthers.
Well, even though Teddy went out with that gruesome injury a couple years ago, he's been pretty durable. He's been pretty durable in the way the Panthers paid him. They're going to play him. Right. He's expected to play. That he's their guy. And like I said, even though these games are not ending the way they would rather them end, and it's so easy to point to the quarterback. It's so easy to say, well, Teddy was right there. He could have done this or he could have done that. But then when you have a defense that, Kansas City was a defending Super Bowl champs and they didn't punt. So to be right there and lose by 2 on the road to the defending champions, again, no moral victories, but in a game where No, they didn't punt at all. They had a missed field goal, turn the ball over. They did not punt. So to be right there with them, I think that says a lot about the offense. And right now, I just don't see them making a change unless there's a major injury.
So no Disney movie script about PJ Walker.
I don't see it. I don't see it unless Teddy's health comes into question.
Sounds.
Have you heard, is he at least fitting in well? Is he being respectful? Is he, getting along with, what is his demeanor that way, just in terms of maybe getting prospects with other teams down the line? Is he fitting in well with the system and along with everybody else, PJ?
It appears that he is. We have very limited, observation of practice because of COVID. Everything's a little different. It makes our job just a little bit harder. But in talking to Teddy's big thing is I want Will Grier and PJ Walker to be ready, because we know that Teddy started in Minnesota. We saw what happened, and we saw his progression back to being a starter in the NFL. And his biggest thing was, when Drew Brees went down, I went into the game, I embarrassed myself, I played horrible football, and I wasn't ready. So he said he had to regroup. And what the mindset that he's trying to feed into Walker and Grier is you never know when your opportunity is going to come, whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else. So be ready. He's done a really good job of coaching them up in that quarterback's room. He feels like both of them are more than capable of stepping in and doing what they need to do. So I would think that this is a good fit for him. The other players on the team like him. He seems to be soaking in the knowledge and soaking in the experience. So if the opportunity does present itself elsewhere for him, I think he would be well equipped to take advantage of it.
Because we did have, and I don't remember his name, but we did have the other XFL, one of the Panthers, when he wasn't wearing the mask, right, dancing, and he got cut, right? He was on.
Josh Hawkins, yeah.
So I mean, where this is not an uncommon question to ask. Hey, we have some of these XFL guys getting shots. I mean, right. Some of them as big as PJ, but otherwise, and some of them are really rising to the occasion. And then some like him, clearly had other things on his mind, right? So that was just kind of my question. Was obviously he seems to be fitting in well.
He seems to be very focused. Like no one's saying that there's any distractions or things like that. But Teddy likes him a lot. He says that he is, basically soaking everything up like a sponge and just getting himself in position to be ready if the opportunity presents itself.
Awesome. Sheena Quick, we thank you for your time. Coming on, talking about the Panthers and PJ Walker and Teddy Bridgewater. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. There we go. Back at it. Bless you. Sheena was great. I appreciate her coming on. I thought that was great. I thought it was good insights. I was thinking, and maybe we can work on this, try to get someone with the 49ers, maybe about Josh Johnson. I don't know. I can look that up or whatever, but I thought that would be a good, just to kind of, what's the feet on the street, right? Get the little, be like, what's the guy in Game of Thrones? Like you have your spiders everywhere. Like we can get all of our writers everywhere and get all the. Oh, you don't watch Game of Thrones? Okay, well there was the guy and he had his little fingers and everything, and so maybe like we got Sheena now keeping an eye on the Panthers right for us, and then maybe we find somebody keeping up with Josh Johnson and the 49ers, and we can be like.
You mean the guy that drinks and knows things? That guy?
No, it's the guy. He didn't have a member.
A member?
He didn't have a member. I'm trying to keep this PG.
Okay, well, there's that.
Kendall.
Got it.
Or no, maybe he didn't have both sets. Maybe he didn't have a full set. It was something going on. I didn't really pay. There was a lot of that in Game of Thrones. I didn't really like
there's a lot of other stuff.
I didn't like that. I wasn't a fan of
brother relationships. Like I was just like, what is this?
There's a lot.
When I was a kid and I wanted to be into dragons and wizardry and stuff, girls didn't talk to me at all. So I stopped being into dragons and wizardry. That's the thing. And now all of a sudden it's hot again. I don't know. I just didn't ever watch it.
That was like when I was in middle school. A couple years before I played Pokemon, like Red and Blue, and all that came out, and I was like a big Pokemon guy. And then it all got like into our middle school because we all had laptops, and you could like emulate the Game Boy. You get like the ROM, and you could emulate it on there. And then I was like the coolest guy in school because they're like, "Hey, Ree, like, how do we catch Squirtle or whatever?" I'm like, "Man, I've been doing this for years. Like, wake up!"
You catch Squirtle?
Well, or catch the Pokemon. Like, how do you like? What's the?
I too old for Pokemon.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It happened when I was like coming out of college. That's how old I am.
That's gonna date you. Oh man. Okay, we got Josh Johnson out of here. That's good. I think that's all those. Okay, I'm closing that stuff out. Hey, do you see this about Matt McGloin? I thought this was kind of funny.
What's up? Yes, starting a podcast. Everybody's starting a podcast.
I'll tell you, Matt McGloin was the angriest quarterback for the New York Guardians. Almost as angry as Tom Brady. Like they just played terrible. Like he got some at day, and then he was like, the big deal with him was because they did like the sideline reporting and all of that. He was like trash talking, like, "Oh yeah, like our team they didn't even show up to play today or something." And then that was like the big news about Matt McGloin, kind of like crapping on his teammates. So now he's starting the podcast. It's called The Underrated Hour, which is not accurate because I don't think he is underrated. I think he is exactly where he should be rated.
I don't think he's rated at all.
Yeah.
I don't think he's rated at all. We're talking about Matt McGloin, and we're talking about Penn State. And I wanted to show you. Speaking of Penn State, did you see this week? What is happening at Penn State? Like, watch this. Watch this player right here. What is he doing?
Oh, I saw this. That was dirty. They say, what are they teaching players over at Penn State? That's like some Halo stuff. That's like Halo teabagging. Remember when you would like teabag in Halo?
I didn't remember teabagging in Halo, but what is that?
Don't do that. Stop that. Knock it off. We got Notre Dame.
No.
We got Notre Dame fans running out in the stands. We got guys teabagging people on the field. Like, stop that. Knock it off. I don't like that.
Anyway, so I saw that. I was like, Penn State. We're talking about Matt McGloin, and what is happening at Penn State. So Matt McGloin is starting the underrated hour. Of course, we're joking. He's not rated at all.
He's not rated, but it's like the funniest. It's just like the funniest sales pitch. It's like, yeah, it was just like me and some friends, and we just decided to like talk about football. And you're like, okay, at least the XFL. There's not that many XFL podcasts. Like, you know how many NFL podcasts there are in this world, Matt McGloin? You think anybody cares about your opinion enough?
I don't know. Apparently, he's got Kajana Carter, which a name I haven't heard since like 1999. I don't know why Kajana Carter is showing up on this podcast. But speaking of like former NFL players that have podcasts, Pat McAfee, of course, you know him as I think he was the punter. He was the punter for the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, he's a big wrestling fan, big Mark.
He was like a tag team champion, right? NXT tag team champion.
Have they won the tag team championships?
I feel like he came back and he had the mask. I'm not watching right now, but he's back again.
So Disco Inferno, Glenn Gilberti said that Pat McAfee should have all the belts in NXT, and he is their best talent right now.
Get out of here. Disco Inferno is the coldest takes in the world.
Disco knows the business, though. People give Disco Inferno grief. I'm going to defend Disco Inferno. I think Disco has a good mind for the business. I think he knows what works to an extent. He's still a little bit too old school for the new school way of thinking, but I got to give it up for Disco. He's got a brain for the business, and apparently after last night's NXT show, he said you're not sold on this all. You're like checked out. Like you should see Reed's face right now. He's just like,
I had a Mountain Dew kind of. I was kind of blowing off to the side. That is a cold take. The Pat McAfee is the hottest talent in NXT. Who's their champ right now? Adam Cole, not right. It's Balor. Prince?
Finn Balor is their current champion. Of course, they got Ciampa, Gargano.
Yeah,
Gargano is the North American champion again. But apparently, according to Disco Inferno, former NFL punter Pat McAfee, who is also famous for starting his own podcast, is the best talent they have.
No, not going
to. So, with that being said, we've talked about Matt McGloin's podcast. Coming up next, who do we got?
Josh Davis, XFL News Hub. He's going to join us to talk about we got some Vince McMahon lawsuit stuff. I don't know. Josh knows all that stuff. He's going to fill us in. We got Spring League recap. A lot of drama with the Spring League. Josh actually talked to the CEO of the Spring League on the phone this morning, honestly. So he's coming on to give us all the updates on that straight from the horse's mouth from the Spring League. And we're going to talk Bachelor with him because I know he wants to. No, I'm kidding. Josh, we're not going to do that to you. But Josh is coming up after the break.
Joining us now, Josh Davis, XFL News Hub. What's up, man?
What's going on, fellas?
Thanks for coming back on. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So what would you think of, first off, Spring League? I mean, there's a lot of different stuff to go on. First off, what did you think about the games this week?
Oh, man, it was the games are just like they have been, since we first started, since week one. It's been an excellent brand of football. And, so I loved it. High scoring, Conquerors won. I mean, it was we were expecting to see the Jousters on Tuesday, but that didn't happen. There's some updates for that, but it's a shame for them because for one, they had that forfeit, and but we did get to see the Conquerors take on the Aviators and get that big W.
Yeah, it was, a really, really high-scoring game. I mean, I thought Kevin Anderson played, right? Am I?
Yeah. No, that's right. Kevin Anderson.
Yeah, I thought he played phenomenally. And the fact that they didn't take him out and put in Justin McMillan, who I think was nowhere to be found, right?
Right, yeah. He had been released the week before after that fight with the Alphas coach. Yeah, where the coach pulled him to the ground, but they replaced him with on the roster with the former Hawaii quarterback Cole Mcdonald. And I'm telling you, if you've not seen this guy play, you better look up some video because Mcdonald is really talented. And he's really exciting to watch. He's a dual threat guy. He's out of California, but played in Hawaii. He's actually, if you go to XFLNewsHub.com, you can check out one of my articles about the top 10 quarterbacks that the XFL needs to look at for the 2022 season. If he's not on a roster anywhere, Cole Mcdonald needs to be on there. He's on my list. I give you a little bit of rundown about what you can expect from him. And yeah, they kept with Anderson the whole time. And throughout the weeks, week one, he kind of struggled when he first went in, but every time he goes back out there, he does a better job. And it's really good to see him play. He got a little feisty throughout the game. Did you notice that, right? He threw that pick on that play that was an obvious offsides. I'm sorry, refs missed it. And he threw that ball because he figured he had I just know it, that he figured he had a free play because the dudes were offsides, but they never called it. Interception. He was so frustrated, he went up and made the tackle. And not only that, on the next drive, there was a fumble, and you saw him at the bottom of the pile, and he just yanks the ball away from those big guys, man. Like he's a shorter guy. He's not a tall dude, and he's not real big. He's kind of stocky, but he was smaller than everybody else that was fighting for the ball, and he came away with it and yanked it away with force, and I loved it. You love to see that kind of fire from your quarterback. So, they stuck with him. He knew they were going to stuck with him, and I think that stuff like that helps build up a confidence for the quarterback. So, that was big. Cole did come in within the last couple of minutes, but he hadn't really been there. He only had like 2 practices, so they'll probably get him in pretty well in this next week, depending on how it goes. We still have a shot.
And then I'll tell you, last night with the Generals and the Blues, Brian Scott, 4 TDs. I mean, what was it? What was the final score? 35 to...
it was 42-28, wasn't it? Something like that. It was
crazy. Yeah. I mean, that guy is a champ. I posted, I said, when the star of the Spring League follows you on Twitter, you're doing something right. Because he really did light it up. I mean, talk about the game last night and the performance of both teams. Patterson, a little sloppy, right? Some interceptions. Yeah. I mean, talk about your feelings of the game last night.
Well, there was a few plays there Patterson I know would love to have back. He had some throws that he was just trying to make a play, forcing it in there. And, if you've ever watched him play at either Ole Miss or Michigan, you're used to seeing that type of stuff. But he's trying to make plays. It's not that he's making bad. I mean, could he check those decisions? Yeah, a little bit. But he's trying to make plays. He's trying to make plays for his team. So he's just not just flat out making bad decisions and throwing the ball all over the place. But he's just trying to make plays. And, and hey, you got to look at the backfield when you talk about the Blues and Matthew Colburn. That guy is ferocious, man. Like I said it last night on Twitter. If you follow me, if you don't follow me, you need to. If you do, you saw me say it. It is unfair. Like it is gross that this guy's not in the league. But I think that, he had came into a bad situation last year with the Rams. They had a full running back room. And most of the time, that's what it comes down to is situations. It's not talent. It's situations. And if you're not in a situation where you can actually make a difference, because he could show all his talent that he wanted, they didn't have a spot for him. You know what I mean? So, that's where he got unlucky when it came to that. And this type of league, TSL, that's what they're doing. The Spring League is helping these guys get another shot. And, Colbert needs to be in a backfield in the NFL soon. And, if he's not, we'll gladly take him in the XFL for 2022.
Well, that's what I was telling Dorothy. I said, all these guys, depending on how this works out here in the fall, and then if they do kind of the spring thing again, there's no reason why a lot of these guys aren't going to get picked up in June when presumably they're doing the open camp. So it's nice for me where I don't have as much college knowledge, right? Like I just don't have that deep knowledge of all these guys coming up to be able to see them now and know, like Colburn's good, Yarberry's good, like Patterson and Anderson, a lot of these guys, it's just nice to be able to like see that and then be able now, when they transition into the XFL, be able to follow them a little bit more.
Right. You get another look at these guys before they do come out, because no doubt there are going to be a lot of guys that we've seen over the past 3 weeks playing in the Spring League that's going to be in the next iteration of the XFL. It's no doubt you're going to see some of these guys. And would I like to see them play in the NFL? Absolutely. But guys like Scott, like we were just talking about, Brian Scott, it's going to take him some time to get onto a roster and get into a spot, and he'll be sitting behind some guys. We see the great PJ Walker right now. He came in and got a few throws on a drive a couple of weeks ago, but he's sitting there behind Teddy Bridgewater. And I would rather see him play. I'd rather see him showcase his skills, and where he has a better shot of actually playing is in the XFL. Now, Brian Scott is absolutely insane. Like, he is the talk of this league. And, him and Sewell, when they connected on that first, that double move, man, oh, he killed him. And I really hated it because I'm friends with the Blues defensive coordinator, Darius Bell. Like, oh, man, I know you're coached better than that. Come on now, So it kind of, I was excited to see that play, but to have it happen on my dude's defense, it's like, it hurt a little bit. So, but it's a lot of good football. If you're not watching the spring league, you really need to.
So what's going on? Paul and I called the jousters for us, right? Paul, I didn't check in with Paul. I'm sorry. Not good at all. And they were supposed to play. They were supposed to have the primetime game on Tuesday. So what can you fill us in on that? And I know that you and we plugged it in the show already. I know that you talked with the CEO of the spring league. Right. So this is like right from the horse's mouth, kind of everything that's going on. So what happened with the jousters on Tuesday?
Well, what happened was over the weekend, from last week, over the weekend, there were some players on the jousters that had tested positive for COVID-19. And once that happened, the head coach then, I'll explain that here in a minute, Chuck Bresnahan, canceled practices. Now, I'll go on and say this, we had gotten a few different reports. There are a couple of different stories going on out there. I will tell you what I heard straight from the mouth of the CEO of the league. That's what I'll share with you, because I know that is, at least an official story. If it's right, there's always three sides to a story, right? There's one side, there's the other side, and the truth. So, but Brian Woods tells me that the test came back positive for some players on the jousters. They were removed and they did contact tracing just like they do in the NFL, and they had those guys quarantined. Now, what had happened was for fear of some of the other coaches who might be a little bit older, and Chuck himself, he canceled practice. He wanted to make sure that everybody's health was taken in consideration. Now, Coach had mentioned to Mr. Woods that, if anybody else happens to test positive, I may have to depart because of, health considerations. Woods then went and searched for somebody who might be able to take his place. Coach Bresnahan found out about that and he resigned. And so there's a new coach for the jousters. But because they hadn't practiced, because Coach Bresnahan made the right decision and canceled practice, they were not prepared for the game on Tuesday. So they were going to try to get it done for Wednesday, but they still weren't able to get on a field to get any type of practices. They hadn't practiced in 6 days from what Mr. Woods told me. So, it's a bad thing when you hear about a team take a forfeit, and plus that was the first time we were going to see the jousters on the field. I really hate it for those guys. I've talked to a couple of guys on the team, and they're really excited, and they really love the opportunity to play, but they really missed out on the opportunity. Now, they should be part of the doubleheader coming up, and we'll get into that in a minute, I'm sure. But they should be part of the doubleheader coming up next week. But yeah, there's a lot of things coming out in the league, and my conversation with the CEO really shed some light on the stuff that's going on. But yeah, man, spring league is not immune to the virus, and a couple of players got it, and they had to cancel practice, so we didn't see them play this week.
Well, it's just a shame because, these guys, and there's been mixed messages if all of them are paying to play, if some of them are paying to play. We don't need to get into all the semantics of that, but some of these guys are paying to play, and yes. and they're wanting to, get experience with coaches, get tape, get games, get all these things. And so, yeah, they hear that they hadn't practiced in 6 days, get that primetime spot. They're losing a whole game's worth of tape when they were probably only going to have 4 weeks anyway, is a shame. And so, whether some of the people are paying or, all of them or not or whatever, I mean, at least it's a non-zero number of people that are paying, and it Correct. Is just a shame. You feel bad for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we wanted to talk about XFL News Hub had an article out about some of the coaches getting ready to boycott that, that they weren't, Mike Mitchell had that the story was that not all the coaches were being paid. It sounds like that's been resolved now. I'm glad that we kind of have the final somewhat before we go to air tomorrow on Friday. So what's kind of the final story with that? Because there was a lot of drama this week.
All right. We had the article come out. Mike Mitchell, like you said, wrote it about what was going on with the coaches and getting payment. And, like I said before, we talked about the last little story. What I'm about to say does not retract from our article. At the time, with the information and from the people that we got it from, we got the truth. But some of the coaches had not been paid. Found out that I asked the CEO today what was going on with that, and he said, this is what Brian Wood said, was that the payroll system took a little bit longer to process the payments because they had to verify the checking accounts. Now, I can tell you that has happened to me in the past where, but my employer told me, hey, it's going to take a couple of days, a little bit longer for you to get your first paycheck. It won't be on Thursday like it normally is. It'll be on Friday or the following Monday because it has to do something. Our bank has to do something to talk to yours. So, that's not out of the realm of possibility. But I'll tell you that there were coaches from what we had heard that, had talked about walking out. And so, we felt like that piece needed to get out there and people needed to know, this is kind of what's going on. But my talk with him this morning was really fruitful. So I was glad to have that conversation.
How is he demeanor wise? I know that he's been a little, it seems a little agitated lately. I mean, was he receptive of your call?
He was great. He called me. So I did email him earlier this morning, and he called me to talk about everything. But his demeanor was great. I didn't sense any type of agitation, which is, a little bit funny because it was me that he was talking to, and some of the stories that we had heard about his feelings about me. So, but we talked and we had a good talk, I think, and we continued to text throughout the day, getting some more information, on some things. So, and I did, I let him know that, hey, if there was anything that you got from me that may have, rubbed you the wrong way, I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do anything other than be professional. So I think that if there was anything between us, which, I had heard and you had heard too, I hope that's, now water under the bridge. But like I said, we'd also continue to text throughout the day. So, it's if there was anything, I think it's gone now. We had a good conversation. He was upbeat. He was excited. He felt bad for the players, of course, that were involved in the questions and that I had and with the jousters and stuff. But he seemed pretty pleased. And he said, he did tell us, he said, we're doing a good job with the reporting, and he's happy to see that, people are getting the players' names out there again. So,
yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, spoiler alert, we're just trying to support the league. I mean, I'm talking about we talked about the spring league last week. We did a whole segment, with James. We've had Jay on from XFL News Hub. I mean, we're talking about the league. We want to cover the league. So yeah, I mean, let us know, if something's wrong or something's, I mean, we are covering this. We are fans. I watched all the games last night. I live tweeted them along with everyone else. So we're just trying to support the league. Two things before we let you go. Next week's games, there had been rumors that the Alamo Dome wasn't going to be able to host the games next week. What's going on with that?
Yeah, they are not going to be able to play at the Alamo Dome. Disney on Ice starts on Wednesday, the 19th. The games were scheduled before to be on the 17th and the 18th. When I talked to a couple of weeks ago, when I talked to actual guys out of the operations and from events planning at the Alamo Dome, they said that it takes 3 days for the ice to set. So they're going to have to start that Sunday. And just to be able to make sure that they get everything ready for them to start warming up, because even though they start on the 19th, they're going to have to start rehearsals on a late on the 17th going into the 18th. So there's just no way to play football there. I will tell you that I did have that conversation about where they're going to play the games with Brian Woods today. I can't give anything official yet because I'm pretty sure I know where they're looking, but Fox right now is scouting fields. There's a university there in San Antonio that they're going to go look at. They're right now out there checking it out, making sure that it's going to work. But the schedule is there's going to be all 3 games on Tuesday. The first game will not be aired on TV, but the next 2 will be a doubleheader. So you're going to get to see 2 of the 3 games next week. And, we have an opportunity for a 4-way tie for second place. I'm still waiting to hear back as to what the tiebreaker would be in that scenario. But Everybody but unfortunately, everybody but the Jousters has an opportunity to play for the championship. I had to get that last little stab.
Yeah. Because that's the thing is Fox has to scout this, right? Because it's not just playing football. They have to put these games on TV. And so it has to be right. I mean, they can't just go out to a field somewhere and play. They got to know that, hey, this is going to support to be on FS1 and do that. Is that the thought behind that?
Yeah. They got to make sure that everything that they do for a game is able to be done at this place, because if it's the place that I'm thinking of and people that are around San Antonio, it seats 6,000. It does play Division I football there. And for anybody that might be thinking, it's not UTSA's field. They play in the Alamo Dome. But they actually have a practice field on campus that could be in consideration. But there is another football stadium there that they could definitely use, and I think that's where they're looking at. As soon as he gets the go ahead from Fox, he'll let me know. But yeah, he said don't print that yet, but because we don't know if it's true or not, because they still got to check it out. I'm like, no worries, I won't say where it's going to be, but we definitely know that it's not going to be in the Alamo Dome. And even though you might go to the website and see the championship week, it gives you the whole week. It gives you from the 24th to the 1st of December. The game is going to be on the 2nd. And the week after. I
want to go. If they announce it, Dorothy and I are pretty sure. I think because it's after Thanksgiving, I am pretty sure we're going to try to make it down for that. So that's just
nice.
I think it'd be cool to do.
And it will be at the Alamo Dome. So they wanted to make sure that not only were they able to finish up where they started in the Alamo Dome, but they wanted to give teams enough time to prepare once they figured out that they were going to be the ones playing. And then, there's Thanksgiving there. And hey, if you can get your families, if the teams can get their families down to San Antonio, bring them in and have them in for the whole weekend and then finish off with a championship game. I mean, that's pretty good Thanksgiving, don't you think?
I think it's cool.
I mean, other options in the San Antonio area include the University of Incarnate Ward. They do have a football stadium at UIW. Also, why couldn't you just drive up the road a little bit to Texas State, San Marcos, Texas State, and do one of the game and do a couple of games there. There's options for that week to have an alternate place to go. We wanted to also discuss the recent news on the lawsuit between Vince and all that stuff going on. What's the latest on that?
They have recently, and this was a couple of weeks ago, they recently lifted the stay on the Oliver Luck Vince McMahon suit. The reason that they did that was because they wanted to make sure that the sale of the league went through, so that the court handling the lawsuit between Luck and McMahon could add Alpha Entertainment as a co-defendant with McMahon for that all to be in there. So that's part of the update. There is another update too that they have gone into the last stage of the bankruptcy case. They've sent the proposal and the liquidation analysis out to the creditors committee, and that's going to vote now. The vote will be official. I think they have until December 4th to vote. They have until December 1st to object, December 4th to vote. There will be a hearing on December 11th, and that will pretty much end everything. There is actually another update from yesterday. They filed a piece of paper to extend the time for Alpha to decide whether they're going to reject or assume a couple of leases on some storage facilities and a practice facility. There is a storage facility in Seattle that they are deciding on whether or not to keep that lease. There is also a moving company contract that this company does does big equipment, does big business, tech. They do stadiums, they do sports stuff. That's what they specialize in. They're based out of Phoenix, Arizona, and then there's also a lease on the practice facility for the Houston Roughnecks, Rangers. Practice facility there that they're weighing the options now. If they were to reject it, that does not mean that the new iteration of the XFL can't use it. It just means that they weren't able to get any kind of negotiation going for, this particular time. If they assume it, that means that they have negotiated a dollar amount to settle up the bill from before and a new agreement to go forward. Now, if they don't reach that agreement to go forward, then they will reject it. They'll become part of the unsecured creditors right now. So, right now, anybody that has a lease or a contract that has been assumed is not part of this bankruptcy. Their bill is being worked out or has been paid already. That's the process of that. But if it has been a rejected contract, then that means that they go into the creditors list. So, that's the thing that they're working on right now. So.
A lot of moving pieces. Yeah, and all this stuff's on the News Hub. If you go on, Josh has an article on there that's got the whole timeline and everything laid out. So it's a ton of work, and I appreciate, you just keeping us up on that, because it's definitely something that people are curious about what's going to happen. So,
yep.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Paul, you good?
I'm good. Thanks again, Josh, for dropping in and updating us on Spring League and the latest on the lawsuit.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks.
Of course. Right.
Josh is just a great guy.
Yeah. We appreciate him coming on. And
He said he wore his blue Kentucky jersey today in honor. I guess one of their coaching staff lost one of their coaching staff to cancer. So Josh was wearing that as a tribute. If we didn't ask him about that, we're recording this and then we're inserting it in. So maybe we already asked him about it.
You're giving away the trade secrets here, Reed. Come on, man.
But if we didn't, then that's good.
So anyway, what do we have to wrap up here with?
We got a little bit.
We covered a lot of stuff.
I want to talk about The Rock. And this is also a Josh Davis article, so maybe we talked about him with this as well. I don't know, but The Rock is. If you thought I don't want to get. There's no political stuff on this podcast, but there was The Rock endorsed Biden. It was a lot of drama. A lot of XFL fans thought, okay, we don't like this, or we're not going to support this. Rock posted. I watched the whole thing this morning. I was on chat support with Apple, trying to get some stuff figured out. And the Rock is standing firm. Like, he is like, I don't care if I pissed you off. Like, this is what's happening, and you got to put on your big boy britches and move on. So if you thought that The Rock, people like hate tweeting at him and whatever, The Rock is going forward, and this is, I don't know, it's The Rock's story.
It's like we're not talking about politics, but at the same time, it's just like in 2016. People that didn't vote for Trump were told, F your feelings, Trump's your president, deal with it. And now it seems like the shoe's on the other foot, and that crowd is not having an easy time. And I don't want to get into specifics on who I voted for. I will tell you that I voted for neither major party candidate. I did vote. I didn't vote for either of the major party candidates. If you listen to Will House, you'll know who I voted for. That being said, it's just like this bickering, it just needs to stop. Like, can't we just do this for maybe like 3 months every 4 years and not drag this out for a 4-year process?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we want to get back to. That's why a lot of people did vote for Biden, is because we want to get back to the normal business of not having to worry about what someone says on Twitter or what fake news is being disseminated by what organization. I just think that we need to get past all this. And I think that's what The Rock basically meant by his statements, like, okay, it's done, it's over with. Let's just move forward and try to reunite as a country, and I commend him for that.
Yeah, there are just a couple pull-out quotes that Josh had. The Rock said, the reason I got emotional yesterday was because I felt my voice was represented. My voice represented my little girls. It represented humanity, decency, and the principles and values that Laura, my wife, and I instill in our little daughters. Finally, my vote represented the importance of just being a decent human being, and to me, being a decent human being matters. He also said, we've all been there. We fought for things we believed in our hearts and passion, and we still lose. I want you to know I'm still here. I'm not turning my back on you just because we have a difference of opinions or voted on someone else. I'm going to make sure I can continue to do all I possibly can to make sure we're working together as a unified front. So, I mean, that's the thing is, politics aside, The Rock is kind of, part of the ownership, and we just need to, you can't let that get in the way. You need to just know that The Rock is going for football, and he can have beliefs and you can have different beliefs, and we're still going to go together.
We can just appreciate, we just appreciate football for what it is, and we can appreciate the things we enjoy together, Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or Green Party or Socialist, whatever the case may be. Let's just appreciate the things that make us American. whether it be apple pie, hot dogs, football, whatever.
XFL football is going to unite the world. That's my calling.
Okay.
That's my belief. You think that's a pipe dream? Do you think XFL football can unite America?
Anything's possible. No, really, I don't rule out anything. If you would have told me 5 years ago that Trump would have been president, I would have laughed in your face. And it's not disrespect. I didn't understand the kind of the groundswell of support he would have. So that all being said, anything's possible. My uncle used to tell me that all the time, and clearly he was 100% right. So with that being said, we're moving on. NFL expansion of playoffs. No more expanding playoffs.
Yeah, that's not. I knew you wouldn't be happy about this with the MLB. I mean, they said it's not a guarantee, but if they miss any like meaningful games, it's going to be half the teams are going to go in there. That's nuts.
This is ridiculous. The reason why the NBA playoffs feel stupid is because everybody gets in. There's 30 NBA teams and 16 teams get in. Everybody gets in. More people get in that don't get in. It's ridiculous. I think the playoffs are a reward system, not like, oh, you were mediocre in the Eastern Conference and you had a sub 500 and you just happened to be the seventh best team in the conference and you lost 5 more games than you won. But guess what? Since you're the seventh best team in the conference, we're going to get you in the playoffs. That's not the way this thing should work. It should be very selective. So when baseball is talking about expanding to 16 teams permanently, I hope that's not a situation. This is just ridiculous. Let's just keep it at 6. 6 is fine. 6 is fine. MLS, another situation. Did you know every team in MLS soccer in the Eastern Conference is in the playoffs? Every team in the Eastern Conference is in the playoffs. This is insane. The playoffs are a reward system for doing good in the regular season. Why are we expanding playoffs all the time?
It's like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal in WrestleMania, where they're like, well, we got to get everybody on the card, so we're going to do a big 30-person. You have like your 6 marquee matches, and then we're going to put everybody else in the match so that they all feel like they got on the show. And that's
there's the fatal 4-way tag team title match with 4 different tag teams, and each tag team has 3 people on it. The Freebird rule is going on. Look. Let's just allow this to be a reward system. This is more of, and I hate to go down this rabbit hole, but screw it. We're talking about participation trophies. This is kind of that mentality where like everybody gets a trophy. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be that way. It should be the select few. Like if you played good in the regular season, your reward should be the playoffs. Not if you did mediocre enough to get into the playoffs. That's not the way it should work. Yep. In baseball, in hockey, in football, in MLS, whatever the sport is that you're following right now that's going into the playoffs, you should not be rewarded for mediocre play. And that's what's happening with some of these playoff situations.
Let's get it out of here. Let's keep it and just the
6.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy.
To brighten up the mood here, though, we're going to talk about this crazy golf shot.
Did you see this?
It's insane.
This is real, right? This isn't like a deep fake?
It's 100% real. It's 100% real.
Okay. I'm going to put my hand up here so I know to edit the video in here for this. But like, because we can show this, right? I mean, not the audio. Yeah. We can show it was nuts. It goes skipping across the thing, and this is the most incredible golf shot I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. I literally have never seen anything like this. So when I saw some like, oh, that's a cool shot to get on the green. That's what I was thinking. I was like, he's on the green. Great. That's amazing. He got on. It was amazing for him to skip the ball across the water to get on the green. And then when it banked, and I went, you got to be effing kidding me. There's no way. And I'm like, oh, it's going to end out like 2 inches from the cup.
Yeah, like, oh, that's incredible. Yeah.
That's going to be incredible in itself. And then the outright. See, we're talking about things. Nothing's impossible. The laws of physics were broken on this day with this shot. This is incredible.
And then did you see just today, I'll post a video here too, this enormous alligator that was crawling out of the water. I didn't post it on here, but they said that they're like the fences in Jurassic Park must have gone down because this thing is like dino size walking across the green. Just another golf story.
I saw that big gator. I was like, what is happening?
I feel like this is just our potpourri section at the end. So we're fine. You know, if you are done with the XFL, you got Josh Davis. This is just kind of like what's random stuff that Reed find this week that he wants to talk about. But the big ass alligator and then the crazy golf shot. That was 2. I mean, who knew golf? And then the Masters is starting today. You know, yesterday with it's all coming together. It's all together.
Great. It's great. So, there is something that's kind of related to alternate football here. It's Miro. Miro, better known as Rusev, from WWE. I don't know if we can say that anymore. He used to be Rusev. It's
yeah,
fine.
you can say Rusev. That was like his former.
He used to be Rusev in the WWE. He has joined fan-controlled football.
Yeah, this is huge. I was thinking about this, and they're getting a lot because I think we're on the cutting edge of this because we were kind of talking about it last week. We did it on the podcast, and then I hadn't seen a lot of stuff before that. And now, they've got him, they're picking the team name. So they're really focusing on people with big online presences, right? So
like
Miro,
Twitch.
yeah,
Kind of like the Twitch area.
Yeah. So, Miro, he does a lot of like game streaming. You have Kind of Funny Games, Greg Miller and the team over there. They do a lot of like internet videos. You got, Richard Sherman, you got Mike Tyson, you've got Quavo, you've got a lot of guys, but they're all of them are going to have different teams. Miro's part of it. The team names are some of the dumbest names I've ever heard though. Like, Marshawn Lynch is part of it. Like the Wild Aces, terrible name. Like some of these names, the Beasts, like terrible names, like really, really terrible names. But it's this like 7-on-7. We did the whole breakdown on it like last week or the week before. But they're really getting a lot of big names. I think Miro is a big name for them to get.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I think they're targeting the online streaming community. It's clear with getting Miro on board. And this is stuff that Miro wouldn't have been able to do had he been an employee with WWE because, of course, as you know, they're now hiring. The WWE is hiring a talent brand manager. I don't know if you saw this post on their corporate employment website. They're hiring someone to oversee the Twitch accounts and the Cameo accounts from talent. And this is going to end very badly for the WWE. I'm going to say it. This is what's probably going to be the domino that causes the wrestlers to unionize. This is it.
Well, you need to allow them to make money on their own. I mean, is the biggest thing. And what they're trying to say is, right, that they made the names, right? Like, we made Stone Cold Steve Austin. So if Stone Cold, he's not, but if he wants to make money on his own, but he's using the name that we built, then we own that. And they're trying to like have this ownership. And I just don't think, I just don't think just because WWE trademarks a name that they're entitled to all those commissions that you're going to get off of that, right?
This is a situation where WWE is wanting its cake and eating it too.
Yeah,
they want to classify you as an independent contractor, but if you want your haircut, you got to get their approval.
Yeah.
If you want to do this, you got to get their approval. You want to get a tattoo, you got to get their approval. You want to get implants, you got to get their approval. You want to undergo surgery, you got to get their approval. That's the thing. It's like you are independent contractor unless you do something they don't want you to do, and then all of a sudden they treat you like an employee. It's the thing that Vince has been doing for years. And it's like, get off, crap or get off the pot. You got to choose one or the other. Either you're going to treat them as independent contractors and you're going to let them have more say in their creative personas, or you're just going to let it go. You're going to be like, okay, fine, whatever.
But look, Miro gave, they kind of messed him around. Lana's still there though, right? His wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He goes through a table every week.
Yeah. Well, he just kind of got sick of it. He was at the height of his power back when we went to New Orleans. People were chanting Rusev Day. They never gave him a break. And now look at him.
Those shirts were everywhere. Those shirts were everywhere. I had one. Did you have one?
No, I didn't have a Rusev shirt.
I had one. We went to grab brunch. Maybe Steven was drinking a little bit early for your taste. Had the remember the glass?
The ass glass.
The ass glass, the body-shaped glass. He was like, this is the perfect glass for the Me Too movement. Steven was there. He had a Rusev Day shirt on. Everybody had these shirts, and Rusev was one of the most over people in the company, and they squandered it.
But no, I think this fan control football, I think a lot of people are getting excited. I think, the Spring League got a lot of people excited. I know a lot of the accounts that got on that are following that. I think people like kind of this, if you like alternative football-y things like XFL, like the Spring League, I do think this fan control football league, it could be a mess. It could be a mess, but at least they're trying something, and I think it'll be good.
Awesome. So with that being said,
Paul, have you ever taken a 5-hour nap?
No.
I think that's called sleep, Paul.
Yeah, normally.
Friend of the show, Chad Ochocinco, tweeted that he took a 5-hour nap the other day and missed the Patriots game. And I just thought, who takes a 5-hour nap? That's called sleep.
I think it's kind of a tongue-in-the-cheek thing where he was like, oh, I tried to watch this thing, but it was like a 5-hour nap. I think maybe it was a joke.
Oh, I took it at face. See, I'm so gullible. I took it at face value. I'm like, Chad's sleeping.
He's a funny dude. Chad's a funny dude. We'd love to have him on again. Hopefully, maybe someday soon. I know he's doing a lot of stuff with the NFL Network and their podcast division. So who knows?
Yeah,
maybe
just remember, we found him first. When you see
we found him first in a nail parlor, getting his Petty and Manny on before he took a flight to Miami. We had him on our podcast first. So with that being said, we want to thank you everyone for listening again. What are the websites to go to for people to get their merch and get their reviews in?
So the hat's going on. Thank you, Paul, because could never figure out how to do that. I tried to add the hat. I'm an idiot. XFLshow.com/merch. We got the hat. We got like shirts and stickers and all that kind of stuff. XFLshow.com/review. If you want to review the podcast, we really appreciate all the XFL and Spring League fans and everybody for showing their support on that. And subscribe on YouTube. It'd be great. Find us on XFL News Hub and all the other stuff. I really appreciate. I think it's on the bigger and better things. So I think we're moving for it.
Awesome. So we'll see you next week. Again, we want to say thank you to XFL News Hub for bringing us on. We appreciate the branch, and we're excited to work with you guys over there. And good things to come. And we'll be keeping you up to date on alternative football news as well as the XFL going forward.
And thanks Sheena. Thank you, Sheena and Josh.
Yes, thank you, Sheena and Josh, for joining us. Can't forget you people. Got to be gender neutral because we had a guy and a girl.
Which is good. More voices. The
more voices, the better. We love having everybody on. Of course, big thanks to Sheena and Josh for coming on. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks.